right. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Kolo Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rechaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, a great millstone who rule well and teach well, where we learn this knowledge, wisdom, and truth from. This is Lakamal back with another quick hit. And I'm just going to entitle this lesson to Be On Point. Be on point. you know. And, that goes without saying, we have to keep ourselves on high alert. So much stuff is happening right now within the media, the news, your day-to-day struggles, or your day-to-day affairs. One thing I've noticed before I get into these scriptures is how people are losing their cool. They're losing their mind. People cutting people off. It's a lot of road rage right now. Me, myself, last week, God cut me off just to get right in front of me. So I tried to go around him, went into the next lane. I was about to get back over into the fast lane, and he sped up and clipped me, for no reason. He just wanted to have, I guess he just wanted nobody to be in front of him. I don't know. But, and today, you got, it was an accident or something. So you got the EMTs and the ambulance and everything, driving through. And, when an ambulance gets behind you or EMT, you're supposed to pull over. So what I noticed is cars were riding behind the EMT so they could get ahead of everybody, instead of pulling over, and, I'm just using that as an excuse that everybody is in such a rush. They're very angry, and, people that know with road rage and cars, all that speeding don't get you nowhere. You end up at the same light. But nowadays, people are angry, so, something simple like that can turn into something real bad. So I just want to, tell bros, be on point. When you go to the store, when you go shopping, when you go to pump your gas, be on high alert, keep your head on the swivel, But enough of that. I'm going to go into the scriptures. I want to go into one of my favorite scriptures first. This is 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. Because, we in this truth, we have to be strong in this thing. And one of the things to do to be strong is be on point. But it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So, us not being on point can take us away from this ministry. It can make us make a quick mistake that will have us jammed up where we can't come and do what we were called to do. So, it's very important to be like a pillar. Apostle Tahar a long time ago coined this as the pillar scripture, if my memory serves me correct. So we have to be on point. We have to be what? Circumspect. And in Exodus, it tells us that 23 and 13. It says, "In all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of the other powers, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth." Well, there's only one true power, and that's Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. You got a lot of our people calling on these other nations' powers. You got the Islam, the Muslims, 5%ers, and it's a lot of different gods, you got these Bloods, Crips, got the Chicago gangs. They gods are the founders. You got Larry Hoover, these are their powers. They die over these names. You got Christianity calling our powers something else. So we have to be circumspect, because us being in this truth, a lot of people fear that. It rouses a lot of people up. It makes people angry. So we have to be circumspect about that. Matter of fact, let's go to circumspect to Adam. All right. Circumspect says to be cautious, wary, literally looking about on all sides, heedful of potential consequences. So we got to look around on all sides of what's going on. Even look at yourself. Look in the mirror, check yourself out. And when I say mirror, of course I mean spiritually. you know, examine yourself. You know. Well, matter of fact, that's a scripture, ain't that? Hold on. Let me see. I thought that was a scripture. Hold on, let me see. Where's my other phone? Examine thyself whether thou be in the faith. Hold on. No, I'm not. Salaki, I'm a little tired. I think all brothers is tired right now. Yeah. 2 Corinthians. I knew I wasn't tripping. I'm sorry. Salaki. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Yeah, it says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahushua Mashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. So yes, we have to, that's why it's so important to have, other brothers around you, be in the body, because they'll help you check yourself. But you also need to examine yourself. See if you could do things better. Yes, nothing's ever good enough, so we always could do better. But check your spirit. Make sure you're not because this world will bring folly all around you. You want to make sure you're not engaging in folly. Of course, when I say that, I mean on a grand scheme. Of course, on your off time you watch sports or go fishing or whatever. But you got to examine yourself to make sure you're not going off. Make sure you're treating the brothers correctly, treating your family, if you got wives and kids. Make sure you're doing your part, Stay on point, basically. Let's go to Ephesians 5 and 15. It says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Because what? Fools do not consider. They just walk around with the shutters on, not looking left or right. You know how them Greyhound races, they put the shutters on the side so they can't see left or right. They can only run straight. Same as the derbies, So it says, redeeming the time because the days are evil. And like I said, we really need to be on point, be prudent and circumspect. And I'm going to get that definition of prudent too. But because the times we are in is very, 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 very wicked right now. And scriptures speak about that. Is that in Ephesians where in the latter days, people will be lovers of themselves, high-minded, That's all you see right now. Everything is about them, me mentality. So if everything is about me, why would they consider the next person? That's one of the differences of actually being an Israelite by blood and also being an Israelite spiritually and by faith, Yes, we are all, if you are of the bloodline Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're an Israelite. But the scriptures speak about that not all Israel is Israel, We have to be prudent. That's what I was supposed to do. Prudent. Or prudence, maybe. Salakia. All right. It says intelligence, discretion, foresight, wisdom to see what is suitable or profitable. Discretion in practical affairs, right? Knowing how to avoid embarrassment or distress. And what we want to do is avoid distress right now. Of course, we're going to catch hell because we're in this thing, but we don't want to make our cross heavier than what it's supposed to be, Proverbs 8 and 12, that's where I wanted to go. Proverbs 8 and 12. And it reads, start at 10. Receiving my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. Yeah, nothing can be compared to wisdom. You know, being too shiny and flashy can bring attention to you, and not the attention you want. Verse 12, it says, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions. You know, so being prudent is showing characteristics of wisdom. You know, and we know Esau has plenty of inventions to pull you away from being wise. You know, the wiles of the devil, the trickery of Esau. And once again, not all, just Esau is the devil. You got devils amongst you that are Jake. Because they don't want the same thing you want. They don't want eternal paradise in a righteous manner, you know. You know, if that was the case, hey, look at you, these pastors. You think they really care about your salvation, or do they care about that pot keep growing so they could buy their big old house and buy their foreign cars? I remember about 20 years ago when I first came to Virginia. Well, not Virginia, but this part of Virginia where I'm at. I was going to church, you know, thinking I was doing the right thing. And, you know, you got all of us struggling. We driving little hoopties and lemons. Not even the big pastor, but one of the junior pastors pulled up in this clean, what's that old song? Clean on the inside, cream on the outside. Yo, when I say this Jag was so smooth, I said, well, if he's the junior pastor, imagine what the pastor got. Because this Jag was smooth, brand new, brand spanking new. And I'm looking around and some people catching the bus to get to church. I'm just like, okay, you know. But speaking of the pastors, Jeremiah 23, so lucky. Come on, man. Jeremiah 23:1, it says, woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, said Yahweh. Therefore thus said the Lord Yahweh, thy power of Yasha'Allah, against the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, said the Lord Yahweh. So, you know, these guys that's are false prophets and, you know, leading our people astray, hey, they got to answer to that, man. That, and, you know, the Wadi Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, that he has tapped into our pineal glands to weed out the weeds, essentially, you know. We know what these pastors want. They all about filthy lucre. They done took the 501c, can't speak about true scriptures, you know. Well, I don't mean to say that, but can't warn their people about what's to come. They start off the sermon with one scripture, you know, chop that all up, and then start freestyling, you know. That's why you got to go to the true seers, the ones that's really going to warn you, the watchmen, you know. Let's go to Proverbs 15. 15, and I'll start at 1. It says, a soft answer turneth away wrath. And right now, that's that's a scripture we need to apply now. Even if you know somebody's wrong, do not answer in an aggressive or even trying to debate. That debate spirit is over with, you know, because that can make you lose. It'll be your last stop trying to argue with some fool in the street just because he want to feel like he knows something. He might be trying to show off in front of a female or one of his homeboys. Let these people have it, man. Unless the spirit jump on you to, you know, in a righteous and peaceful manner, try to add on. But you know, you gotta use discernment on that. And we ain't gonna go too deep on that. But it says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Point in case, right? Case in point, I should say. It says, the tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. And how many times do we have see Jake loves speaking. Jake loves talking. Jake's talk just to talk. Jake don't even be making no sense. He just talking because he like the sound of his own voice. Because maybe when he was coming up, he wasn't allowed to talk. His parents might not let him talk. So now that he grown, he just, rambling, So, I ain't gonna make this too long. Just make sure in the times we are in that you stay prudent, circumspect. In other words, be on point. So with that, I hope this was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Ruchach, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well, who teach well, where we learn this knowledge, wisdom, and truth from. I want to say Kwame Yasha'Allah, Muwaf Love Shalom.